Alright guys, I got a joke for you today. And this joke is, well, there's a picture of a sick person on the back of a truck, a flatbed truck. Okay, that kind of a truck is called a flatbed truck. And it says, when your insurance won't cover your ambulance ride, but you have AAA. Okay, so when your insurance won't cover your ambulance ride, but you have AAA. So what does this mean? Okay, why is this joke funny? Well, to understand this joke, you need to understand something about how things work in the US and Canada. This joke particularly it's from the US. I know that. Why? Because of AAA. Okay, if it were in Canada, it would be CAA. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, first I just want to mention that, like, not everything about English has to do with the English language, right? If you want to live in a country and just be a normal part of society, you need to speak the language, but you also need to know the culture, or you need to know information about... Is that dog real? So I thought that dog was real. It's a fake dog. Look at that. Big dog there. It's fake. Alright, we can carry on. So you need to know some information about a country, right? So with this joke, you could have the best English in the world and you might not understand this joke, right? Because it's not about English. It's about some information about a country or about how things work in that country, right? So what is AAA? Well, take a guess. What could it mean? We have a sick person on the back of a flatbed truck, and it says when you can't afford... No, what does the joke say? It says when your insurance won't cover your ambulance ride, but you have AAA. Okay, so what do you think that means? What does AAA mean? Well, I'll tell you. It stands for American Automobile Insurance. Okay. Now, practically what it means... No, not automobile insurance. American Automobile Association. Sorry. 3 A's. American Automobile Association. And what it means, practically, it means roadside assistance insurance. Okay, so if you are driving your car and your car breaks down on the side of the road, what are you gonna do? And that's a very real possibility here in Canada or the US. You know, people have cars and they drive long distances. What's gonna happen if you have a flat tire and you don't know how to change your tire, or your car has some engine problems and it just stops working on the side of the road? What are you gonna do? Well, you could call a tow truck. You know, maybe you search on your phone for the nearest town. You know, see if you can call a tow truck and have the tow truck tow your car to a mechanic and then get them to fix it. Okay, so what this company is, AAA, it gives you insurance if you have a breakdown. So, I mean, if you do a lot of driving, you might want to have AAA. Now, here in Canada, it's called CAA, Canadian Automobile Association. Okay. So if you do a lot of driving and you're worried about having a breakdown, you know, maybe in the middle of the night, you know, somewhere, what are you going to do? Well, an easy thing you can do is to buy AAA, or if you're in Canada, CAA, It's like a yearly subscription, I think. So you just go on their website and see what their different packages are, right? They have different, any insurance product has different packages, right? You go and they, you know, you could probably choose your options, and then they'll give you a price. It might be $100 a year, or maybe a few $100s a year, I'm not sure. And then so you buy that, they will send you a card in the mail with a phone number, like just something to put in your wallet. Just like it's kind of like maybe like a credit card. Looks a bit like a credit card, maybe with a number on it, your policy number, and maybe your name, and the phone, the emergency phone number that you need to call when you have an not an accident. This is more to do with just if you run into car problems anywhere. So this isn't normal car insurance. So most people, everybody has to have car insurance, right? So you have car insurance, but if you're gonna do trips, right? Let's say you're gonna drive from Calgary to Toronto, and you have an old car, and you're not really sure if your car is, you know, you just don't want to have any problems. Then what you can do is you can go buy another kind of insurance called CAA here in Canada, or did I say CAA? What's CMA? CMA. It's a different thing, right? So many different acronyms, right? CAA, AMA, AAA, AMA, American. I don't know, guys. I'm not an expert on all of these things. But anyway, in the US, there's something called AAA. And here, it's CAA. Or is it AMA in the US? I don't know. They probably have different options. Anyway, let's not get bogged down in that detail. If you get bogged down, that means you get kind of like, you get caught up in the useless details. We need to worry about that. We're just trying to understand this joke, right? So as long as you understand, okay, when you have a car, you have your car insurance. That's going to cover the protection of your car if you have an accident, you know, or whatever. You're protecting your car. But what if you're driving somewhere and you run into some problem? That's not an issue of your car insurance, right? It's not an issue of, well, your windshield or your car insurance will cover that if you run into problems with the vehicle itself. But when we're talking about the roadside assistance, that's a different thing, right? That's not to do with your car. Now, maybe your car insurance will give you protection for that too. I don't know. There's so many different options when it comes to insurance. But guys, look at these geese. It's just thousands of geese right there. Wow. Crazy. Okay, so this AMA or AAA and CAA, they are like, I think it's what would be called supplemental insurance, where you have your car insurance and then you buy something else called CAA or AAA, which is roadside assistance insurance, basically. So you give them a little bit of money every year, and they give you the option to call them anytime, and they will send you a tow truck, or they will send you some roadside assistance. If you need help changing a flat tire, you know, they'll send someone out to do that. Now, how does this work? Because Canada's a huge country, right? So if you break down somewhere in the middle of the night, way out, you know, somewhere on a highway, well, what they do, you call that number. I've done this before. I've had CAA or these different things. There's different companies, I think, that provide this. So you just pull out your card from your wallet or wherever you keep that number, and then you call them and you say, I am stuck on the side of the road. You know, I need help This isn't about emergency, okay? This isn't like if you're dying. Man, guys, suddenly those geese. Wow. That's sweet. So this isn't like if you're having a heart attack. You don't call these people. This isn't the thing. This is if something happened with your car and you need your car to get towed maybe to the nearest town, or you need someone to come out and help you change a flat tire or something like that, right? So that's what we're talking about here. Okay, so everybody in Canada, everybody who's grown up in Canada or the US will understand what this idea is. Roadside assistance insurance, basically. So what's the joke again? The help. So calling an ambulance, right? So when your insurance won't cover your ambulance ride, but you have AAA. Okay, so what does this joke mean? It means that, like, okay, so here's another difference between Canada and the US. I don't know exactly how things work in the US in terms of calling an ambulance. Here in Canada, if you call an ambulance will come to your house and will pick you up, and then if you need to be driven to the hospital, they will take you to the hospital. Now, I've never you know, had to take an ambulance anywhere. I'm very fortunate in my life. I never called an ambulance ever. No, actually, one time I witnessed a car accident, and then I did call an ambulance for the other person, but I never called an ambulance for myself. So I've been very fortunate. I've never had to like lie in the back of an ambulance being taken to a hospital. How about you? Has that ever happened to you? I've been very fortunate in my life, guys. I'm very thankful for that. But the way I understand it in Canada here, now I could be wrong, but if you have like a heart attack, or if you have some serious health emergency and you call an ambulance, they will come to your house and they will drive you to the hospital, right? And that's free. That's free. But if you call an ambulance and they come to your house and they say, well, look, this isn't a very serious problem, or we don't have to take you back to the hospital, or we don't have to, you know, if it's not like a life-threatening issue, then they bill you for that. They charge you probably a few $100s for that, right? Because, you know, you can't just call an ambulance for no reason. It has to be an emergency. If it's a real emergency, then I believe it's free in Canada. If it's not a real emergency and you just called an ambulance anyway, they're going to charge you money for that. Then you have to pay for that, right? Now, in the US, I'm not sure how it works. I know in the US, if you call an ambulance, they will come anyway to your house. You know, that's how emergency response works. They don't ask you, hey, do you have enough money to pay for this? They will come to your house, and then the finances will be dealt with later. So, you know, this joke, it's a joke. It's not like something real, right? So it says when your insurance won't cover your ambulance ride, but you have AAA. Okay, so probably in the US, they probably have different kinds of insurance that you buy, because they don't have free healthcare like we have here in Canada, right? Now in Canada here, healthcare is a provincial thing, but it's also kind of a federal thing. So it's kind of a combination of the provinces, but also the whole country, right? So it's probably a little bit different, the ambulance fees. If you call an ambulance here in, like, I'm in Alberta now, and if they say this is not an emergency, you didn't need to call an ambulance, it's probably going to be a different fee that you have to pay than, let's say, over in BC or in Ontario, right? So there are differences between the provinces when it comes to Canadian healthcare, but there are certain features in Canadian healthcare that are you know, that are that make it like universal, like meaning for everybody. Universal healthcare, meaning everybody in the country has access to free healthcare, basically. Now that's kind of misleading. I've talked about that in some of my other videos. We don't need to get into that. Really, the healthcare system isn't that great in Canada, but that's a side issue. Okay, so if in the US, there's probably different kinds of insurance that you can buy, health insurance. And maybe some of those, maybe you can buy a cheap insurance that doesn't include ambulance trips, right? So you will have to pay out of pocket for any ambulance rides that you have. Okay, out of pocket means you have to pay yourself. Your insurance company's not paying for it, right? So I don't know how that works. If you're in the US, let me know, what are the different options? Can you buy different kinds of healthcare insurance that covers ambulance trips and maybe some that doesn't cover ambulance trips? I'm not sure. So this person, the reason this is funny is because the person did have AMA. So they did have like a subscription, or what do you call it? I don't know. Yeah, like a package, or I mean, you buy. I think it's mostly an annual thing. You pay. You can probably pay monthly, but I know when I had it, I don't have it anymore. But when I did have it, I paid annually. It was like, I think it was like $100, or I think it was somewhere between $100 and $200 for the year. Because they know most people aren't going to have like some breakdown, right? But when you do have it, it's nice. It is nice, and I have used it before. So it's very convenient. You call the number, and then they send someone, even if it's in the middle of the night. I don't know how they do it. They have their networks of, they're connected to all the different companies, like the tow truck companies, mechanics in Canada, or in the USA if it's AAA, and they will arrange for, somehow they're going to help your situation, right? That's the whole idea of it. You pay them money for a possible benefit, right? Now, for most people, it's just like any other insurance. You pay money and you never get anything back because you don't need to use it, right? It's like if you never have a car accident in your whole life, well, you had to pay so much insurance and you didn't get anything, right? Well, that's what insurance is. Insurance is to protect you from a potential issue. So that issue isn't maybe real, and it may never become real, but it's potential, right? There's a dog over there, guys. I think he wants to get in on my video. Should we go visit him? So, okay, so getting back to the joke. So this person, for some reason, had AAA, and he didn't have the insurance to cover like an ambulance trip to the hospital. So he called. Dog's annoying. I hear you, dog. You're ready, you're in the video. You don't have to worry about it. You made an appearance. He made an appearance in my video. He wants to be the star of the show. I want to be the star of the show, guys. Alright. He's in a cage, not a cage, he's fenced in. I'm not fenced in. So I can escape, I can keep walking and regain my status as the star of the show, right? So yeah, so you get this joke, right? It's never, this joke would never happen in, it's not a real situation, it's a joke. He didn't, maybe he couldn't afford to buy insurance. Like maybe he didn't want to call an ambulance because then he would have to pay for it out of pocket, right? Maybe down in the US, it's really expensive. I don't know how much an ambulance trip would cost down in the States. If you live down there, let me know. I think here in Canada, it might be a few $100s, I think. But down in the US, it might be $1,000. It might be, who knows how expensive it'll be. It might be very expensive. So he didn't want to call the ambulance because he didn't want to have to pay for it. But he already had AAA, so he just called that, and they took him off to the hospital, I guess, right? So it's just a kind of a funny joke, and it's a joke that you cannot get by having an advanced knowledge of English. It requires having a knowledge of the country, how things work, insurance, different products that you can buy. Right? So like I said, everybody here, like let's look at all these people who live here. Let's look at that. There's a giant Santa Claus there. Should we go take a look at that? And then a Mickey Mouse Santa. Man, that's a nice looking house. Nice corner house there. Look at that Santa Claus. Man. It's a pretty big. They're the only people on this street have any Christmas decorations. So yeah, all these people, like probably most of these people here would know about CAA here in Canada, or AAA. Like they would get the joke, right? Now how many people actually use it? Like I said, I've had it once in my life. Once or twice. I've decided to pay for it for a year because I was going to do a lot of driving that year, but like now I don't have it. And if a person lives in the city, like it could still be good in the city, they'll send a tow truck and they'll, you know, whatever. But if you live in the city, it's kind of maybe useless to have it, right? Because then you can just call, you can pull out your phone, right? Like if I had a breakdown, I'd just pull out my phone and I would search okay, tow truck companies or something, and then I would tell them, come and pick me up, I'm on this street, my car broke down, I need to be towed to, maybe you want to be towed back to your house, or maybe you live here and you could put your car, maybe you could park, maybe you just want to have your car dropped off on your driveway, or maybe you want to have your car towed to a mechanic. So, you know, there's different options what you can do, but that way you can just deal with it directly. Now, how much is a tow truck going to cost you? I don't know. It could probably be, it's probably going to be about $100 at least. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on probably on the city. It probably depends on the time of year. Depends on a lot of factors. So is it a good idea to buy insurance, or do you just want to pay out of pocket when something bad happens? Everybody has a different idea, right? What would you rather do? Would you rather pay $100 a year for insurance that, let's say, would cover 2 breakdowns a year? All right, they will send someone to help you twice per year for $100, or would you rather just not pay any money, and if something bad happens and you have a breakdown, then you pay out of pocket $100? Which would be worth it? For me, I'm a kind of person, I don't like insurance products. I kind of see insurance as a waste of money. So for me, I never buy insurance. I always go with just pretty much the bare minimum insurance that I have to. Like all the drivers here in Canada, all the cars you see and everything, they have like basic liability insurance. Okay, all drivers in Canada have to have liability insurance. That means if you hit someone, your car you don't, they won't pay for your car, but they will cover the damage to the other person's car, right? So if I just have liability insurance, which most of my life I've just had that because it's the cheapest, and I have to have that. I don't have the option for, I can't choose to not have it. I have to have it by law. Okay. Then, I'm taking a risk with my own car, right? Because if I have a car and I just have liability insurance, and you and me get into an accident, let's say I hit you, then I lose my car. If my car is totally damaged, if it's a write-off means it's completely damaged. The insurance company, they're not going to cover your vehicle. Now if guys, I'm getting too technical here. So if you have insurance that covers, your vehicle, like let's say I have a good pack. Whoa, run across the road. Gonna get run over here, guys. So let's say I have a nice car. I've never really owned a expensive vehicle, but let's say, okay, I own this truck, right? Nice truck. So I would want to have a good insurance package so that if anything that happened, I would be covered, right? The insurance company is gonna, pay for repairing my truck if I get, if I get into an accident, regardless of whose fault it is. Okay, if it's my fault, I still want the insurance company to pay for my truck to get fixed. Then I need to buy a good kind of insurance for that, right? So if I hit you, I'm at fault, right? But my insurance company will still give me money. Now, if my truck is completely damaged, like really, really badly, then that's called a write-off. And the insurance company will say, look, we're not going to fix your truck. It's too expensive to fix it. We are just going to give you money. The value, whatever value is of that truck, right? So they'll say, here's $20,000. Done. You go fix your own, or you buy your own thing, or you do whatever you want to do, right? Now, if I have a nice truck and I only have liability insurance and I hit you, so I'm at fault, that means my insurance company will not pay any money to me for fixing my truck, but it will pay money to you for fixing your car. Okay, so that's called liability insurance. It always needs to help the other person, the innocent person, right? It's to protect innocent people, right? Because if someone hits you, it's not your fault. That person needs to pay. Well, what if they don't have enough money to pay you? That's why in Canada, liability insurance is mandatory. You have to have it. Okay, so that if someone hits you and you're innocent, that person's insurance company will pay you. Even if the person doesn't have enough money to pay you, it doesn't matter, because that person will have liability insurance and that will pay you, right? So that means, that way you don't have to go knocking on their door and, you see this in different parts of the world, right? Where someone's in an accident and they get into a physical fight. They start like beating each other. Why? Because that person damaged their property and they need to pay. So you grab them by the neck. Pay me my money. Fix my car, right? Well, here in Canada, you don't have to grab anybody by the neck. Because here in Canada, the insurance company will pay you if you are not at fault for an accident. Okay? So that's how it is, right? So do you want to take a risk? If you have a nice car, and if you're making payments, okay, if you are making payments, that means the car company that you bought it from will force you to have a good insurance policy. Okay, like let's say you buy a car from Ford, a new car, and you're making payments every month. Then you have to have, if it's a new car, you have to have, like, your insurance company will not let you just get have the liability insurance. They will ask you, you know, when you go to insure your car, you call your insurance company and you say, I just bought a new car. They'll ask you, is it on payments? Is it a new car? If you say, yes, it is a new car, then they will say, well, then you have to have comprehensive insurance. They might say something like that. Comprehensive insurance means a good insurance that will cover the car no matter who's at fault. Guys, there's another dog over here. All these dogs want to make appearances in my videos, guys. Guys. Oh, that's funny. It's a funny day. I'll just try to ignore. If I ignore the dog, it'll just go away, right? No, it won't. Sometimes people, if they think if they can just ignore a problem, the problem will go away. But that never happens, right? Maybe sometimes it happens, but anyway, guys, now we're talking too much about insurance, but I just wanted to explain that to you, how that works. Okay, because it is important. It's like when you go to a country, knowledge is important. Now, insurance is probably different in your country. It's different if you go to, let's say, the UK or the USA or Australia or other English-speaking countries. But there's probably a lot of stuff that is similar, right? So, like, this joke, it's American, it's AAA, but I could understand it because in Canada we have CAA, and most Canadians know a lot about the US. The US is a bigger country, right? A lot of the US culture and their stuff, we have to know about it here because we're the small, you know, we're like the little brother, right, of the country. I mean, we're basically part of the American Empire, right? We're basically a vassal state of the American Empire. Basically a province of the American Empire, right? The word vassal state means they really control us, or they could control us. If they want us to do something, they can say, do it, and we have to obey them because they have all the weapons. We don't have any weapons, so we can't fight. There's no way Canada could beat the US in a fight. Canada doesn't even have any nuclear weapons, guys. So there's no way we would win against the US. So we're basically a vassal state of the US. So a lot of our culture is very similar when it comes to insurance, for example. But there are differences, for example, in the healthcare, right? In Canada, this joke wouldn't make as much sense because we have free healthcare and nobody really thinks about having to pay for an ambulance trip. Like, yeah, I mean, even if they do want to charge you, it's probably not going to be that much. I think it's probably like $300. So it's not, probably won't bankrupt the average person. It won't be like $5,000 or something. Even if they do bill you for it, it's probably still subsidized by the government. Subsidized means the government pays part of the money for it, right? Or all the money for it. Because those a bit chilly out here, guys. I'm losing my voice. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just walking around aimlessly, guys, talking about insurance, teaching you about insurance. Smash the like if you love learning insurance. I'm not interested in this topic, but I just wanted to teach you, if you're going to come to Canada, you know, learning English is a good thing, but also learning about how the country works. What's some information about the country, knowledge, general knowledge of how things work in the country that will help you understand English. Because English isn't just nouns and verbs and adjectives. English is real life, right? Understanding jokes that you see online. So anyway, guys, there's the joke for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions about insurance or about I don't know, English culture, knowledge about, you know, different countries. Now I've never lived in the US, but I've lived in the UK for several months. I've never been to Australia. I've never even been to Australia, guys, or New Zealand. Maybe I should take a trip to Australia one of these days, or New Zealand, escape the winter. Right now it's their summer. Winter here, summer there. That's weird, eh? Anyway, guys, so that's it. Enough of my jabbering away. So as always, I love you so much. Hope you're doing great. Stay safe, healthy, happy as always. I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.